These are the simple rhythms of our homestead: pantry jars being filled, bread being grinded and made, kids playing underfoot, and the garden slowly shifting from summer to fall. It's not always tidy, but it's full of life and love, and that's what makes home so meaningful to us. One of the ways I like to start the week is by refilling my pantry jars. It might seem like such a small task, but having everything transferred from bulk buckets into easy-to-use jars really makes a difference in my days. It's the kind of prep work that sets me up for success. Less digging around when I'm in the middle of baking, or more time to focus on the kids, or for whatever else the day brings. I found that when my pantry feels orderly, the rest of homemaking and homesteading feels a little lighter too. The wheat berries I'm filling are soft berries, kamut, hard white, and hard red berries. I still have the spelt that I bought a couple months ago with black balls laid in throughout that I'll mention later on in this video. Do you use any wheat berries at home, and which are your favorite? Please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear any other types that you guys have found to work for you and your family. Along with wheat, I like to make sure my other staples are topped off. Things like oats for breakfast, sugar for baking, and even homemade vanilla that I have in abundance. Having these ready to grab means fewer interruptions when I'm cooking, and it gives me peace of mind knowing we're set for the week ahead. It's such a simple rhythm, but these little habits really keep the kitchen running smoothly. What do you have in your pantry that are your staples that you always make sure you have stocked? I'm sure there's more that I have, like salt, but what are you guys using that is your pantry staple? Let me know in the comments. Where are you guys getting your vanilla beans? I haven't bought any in such a long time, and the last time I did it was through a co-op, and I don't really want to go through that again. It was great pricing, but it does take a very long time. And while I do have about a half a gallon of vanilla beans left, it takes a long time to make them, so I need to start thinking of these things. So please let me know in the comments where your best source of vanilla beans are so that I can check it out. Grinding wheat berries might seem like an old-fashioned step, but I love knowing that I'm giving my family the very best nutrition. Bread is one of those things I don't like to run out of. It makes sandwiches, toasts, snacks, and even quick dinners with biscuits or pie crusts or anything like that. It just makes them so much easier, and making sure I have dough ready at the beginning of the week saves me from scrambling later. There's something about the smell of fresh flour and the warm bread rising that just feels like home. With picky eaters, having fresh bread available makes me feel better, and then I know that they will have a full belly with good nutrition, even if it's all that they eat at that meal. And let me tell you, sometimes that is all that my children will eat at the meal is a biscuit or a piece of bread, something that generally from a store would not be the most nutritious. And grinding my own flour at home, I know that they're getting the whole berry and all the nutrition that goes along with it. So that makes me feel better as a mom. I've shown this fresh ground flour bread recipe before, and honestly, it's one of the simplest I've ever made. Once you get into the rhythm, it becomes second nature. Grind, mix, knead, and let the dough rest. I think sometimes we imagine homemade bread has to be complicated, but really it's just a series of simple steps. And as we all know, repetition, muscle memory, it really makes it that much simpler the more you do it. And I am making bread probably 2 to 3 times a week, specifically sandwich bread. That's not including the biscuits or the pie crusts or hamburger buns, bagels, anything else I'm scattering throughout the week if I didn't make it over the weekend. I love teaching my kids about all of this as well. That real food doesn't have to be fancy to be nourishing, and that real food is always going to be better for you than the processed prepackaged stuff that even we sometimes get from the grocery store. And I will link a video below for me explaining this recipe in a little bit more detail. I will also link the book below that I adapted my recipe from, because I did tweak some things, but the bulk of it is from the Sue Becker book that I've mentioned many times over. But the basis of this bread recipe is the fresh ground flour, some salt, the active dry yeast, the warm water, which you saw me use my tea kettle. I love turning it on for like 30 seconds to a minute just to kind of warm up the water, and using that. And then you add oil or butter or whatever you're going to be using, honey or sugar, an egg. The egg is crazy to me that it really makes a huge difference in the softness and the way that it rises. So I highly recommend, even in your current recipe, try adding an egg if you can. And that's really about it. There's not much to it. And as you'll see, this mixer can really handle my day-to-day life of large batch bread making. This does make 2 loaves. If I make one, that's like 1 meal in itself already. So I always have to make a minimum of 2. And when I had my little KitchenAid, it liked to die on me every single time when I would use just bread flour. I can't even imagine what it would be doing right now using fresh ground flour, but I digress. I do wish that I had the stainless steel bowl, but here I am, and I'm not spending the money to grab that extra thing quite yet. So not every meal in our home is from scratch or perfectly planned. Some days it's as simple as kielbasa and noodles thrown into the pot. I'll get that going while I wash dishes from the morning. It's not a glamorous lifestyle by any means, but it is real life. Lunches like this remind me that life at home is about balance. Some meals are long and slow, others are quick and practical, and that's okay. I did end up scorching at least one side of these kielbasa sausages because I got distracted with the children, and that is life. So you'll see it. It is quite black, but again, this is life. It's not perfect. And I want to show you my, failures along with some successes, because I am not trying to act like I have it all together. We all have our days, and this just happened to be one, the day that I'm filming. Go figure, right? So with these ramen noodles, I'm also making a sweet and spicy sauce with sesame oil, coconut aminos, honey, some cracked red pepper flakes, garlic, and onion powder, and some salt and pepper. And you just mix well with those, and it's a great sauce for these really, really sticky ramen noodles. If you've never made these, I love them to death. My family loves eating them, but oh my word, they are ridiculously sticky. And if you don't put a sauce on them like right away, good luck getting them plated up for your family. So that is my recommendation. And these are those ramen noodles I showed in the last video from the Costco grocery haul. The organic rice ramen noodles that you can get in bulk. Again, these are just a super simple lunch. You add a protein with it, like today we're adding the kielbasa that I burned, and you're good to go. So after lunch comes cleanup, of course, and there are always crumbs on the floor. Sweeping is one of those jobs I don't love, but it's part of the daily rhythm that makes a home feel cared for. With kids around, the floors never stay clean for long, if ever, but I've learned to embrace the cycles. Cleaning, mess, repeat. It's part of raising a family under one roof. And as you can see, the children are making a mess with sand over on the other side while my other son is finishing his schoolwork. In one of my recent Azure orders and videos, I had quite a bit of black balls mixed into the spelt wheat berries. A viewer suggested I sprout them to see what they were, and sure enough, they sprouted into vetch. So glad it's not a fungal infection like Google originally told me. It's always a learning process, and this community has helped me learn something new. I still have yet to use the spelt, but I feel better knowing it's more than likely not fungus. So I had already harvested my sunflower heads from the garden and figured that while the bread was baking that I would start harvesting the seeds. This first sunflower is a volunteer and has been drying outside on the stalk for a while. I probably should have cut it a long time ago. And the other one I'm going to show you is a fresh cut and will need to dry inside for a little while longer before I can actually harvest it. The flowers are falling off, so it was ready, but underneath they're not readily coming out. One of the boys' favorite jobs is pulling the sunflower seeds and seeing how many we'll get. So some of these will be dried and roasted for us from the fresh cut one, but the other ones from the black sunflower is probably going to go to our chickens. And nothing's going to go to waste. And it's moments like these that I really cherish homesteading. It's not just about the food, it's about passing down these small hands-on lessons to my kids. I don't know about you, but I always love brushing butter onto my hot loaves of bread. It makes it so much softer, even if you leave it out by accident, which I've done many times. It's like a protective coating, and it gives it that, obviously, a buttery flavor and a buttery crust, and my kids can actually tell the difference. So if you don't do that, give it a try. I highly recommend it. Dinner tonight is pork chops with corn and green beans from last year's canning projects. Meals like this always make me thankful for the work of summer, standing over a hot stove to put food up for winter. Now, in just a few minutes, I can open a jar and have a meal on the table. The kids gather around, sometimes helping, sometimes just watching, but always part of the process. I also added an extra treat of frozen herb curly fries we had lying around, everything in moderation for the pre-packaged foods in our home. Is that go bread? As evening settles in, I head back to the garden to harvest lavender and some other things from the garden for my herbalism projects. There's always something grounding about gathering herbs at the end of the day, and I'm also going to be checking on the pumpkins. Some are ready, some still need time. It's little signs like this that remind me how quickly summer is slipping into fall, and I'm here for it. I love fall. Each season brings its own work, but also its own beauty. And in an upcoming video, I will be showing you my plans for the fall garden. Here in Northern California, we do have a very long growing season, and I may be starting late for a lot of people, but we really didn't even have a frost last year. So I definitely have time to start transitioning here in the middle of September, and I will bring you along for that. Boys, you guys want to come get the pumpkins? Yeah. Can you guys come get the pumpkins?
Yeah.
This is the volunteer garden from when the chickens were over here that sprouted. We have tomatoes, pumpkins, squash. We had a lot of herbs and all of those kinds of things here growing. So we're just getting what we can and utilizing it the best way possible. And of course, with kids around, the work often turns into play. They found some soft pumpkins and we tossed them into the chicken coop and couldn't resist stomping on them. It's messy, it's loud, and it makes me laugh. Life here isn't perfect, but it's real, and that's what makes it so, so good. These are the rhythms of homesteading with children in tow for me, from filling jars to baking bread, from simple meals to garden harvests. It all weaves together into a life that's both busy and full, and as the days shorten and fall begins to creep in, I'm reminded to savor these small, ordinary moments. This is where family life and homesteading meet and where home truly feels alive.